Greetings, everyone. This is Jarrah Citizen Gamer, and once again with my Bastion of Common Sense Lightning Dragon. And on this week's BlastCast, we were going to be talking about players' influence on the overall story of the persistent universe and how Star Citizen is looking to approach it differently, and possibly problems and things they're going to have to overcome. First and foremost, as you can see in the background, I have recently purchased a $25 game off of Steam called Evocron Legacy, or as Lightning refers to it, Evo-Chan. Evo-Chan Legacy, which he's got me saying like half the time here. And what this game is kind of an indie game, and requirements are low enough that you can pretty much run it on anything. It looks pretty great, and what's the most impressive is the interfaces. It has layers upon layers of well-defined, easy-to-use interface. It has a Newtonian ISK flight model, and I'll say that Newtonian ISK because the closest thing you're going to find to a full Newtonian is probably Kerbal Space Program, and even Star Citizen is going to use Newtonian elements, but doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be full Newtonian. Now, this game has a lot of the mechanics that have been coming up recently in the Arena Commander forums. It has online multiplayer, co-op play, things like that. So basically, you can get out there with a friend and have fun. You can land on planets. There's all sorts of different missions. I've only put a few hours into it so far, but I'm really impressed with what I've seen so far. And
you can also jump to warp while inside of a planet and kill yourself. Oh wait, no, you were going to cut that out. Nope, now I have to put it in.
Bastard. Yes, do not hit warp when you're inside of an atmosphere, because the speed you take up will cause your ship to explode from the heat. Yes, and it has re-entry effects if you're going in too fast. It's very impressive. It's very, very impressive. And think of it as some degrees an elite.
Star Citizen should be.
Yeah, and also like an Elite Dangerous Light that you can, in a sense that it doesn't have the same scale or scope, but in a lot of ways, I find it's a lot more advanced, especially with the way the interfaces work and the limited fuel. I mean, obviously Elite has limited fuel too, but here it's a lot more. It's felt a lot more. A trip to the planet and back could potentially drain you of all your fuel. So it's one of those things that you want to use the drift. You want to use basically so you're not burning fuel. You don't have to. That kind of limitation changes the way that a person flies. And a lot of people talking in Arena Commander forums said that, when it comes to the online dogfighting, that, it comes down to vector changes and learning how to do deflection shots and things like that are basically very, very interesting way. I think kind of a mix between, well, like Diaspora to a degree. Like you're going to want to go ahead and drift is not handled the same way as Star Citizen, where there's a seemingly endless supply of fuel, with the exception of when you're doing quantum drive. Now, a lot of those systems aren't in yet, so when we get standard fuel and stuff like that, we may see a difference in how all those things handle. But what I wanted to talk about this week was basically how players can affect changes in the persistent universe. And we've already seen an example of this where we have Operation Pitchfork. It was kind of an idea that players put forth that on the last day of beta, before everything goes live, before there's an official server wipe, before things start being calculated permanently, that all the players would get together and invade Vandal space. Now this has become so popular that we even have a skin that you can buy on the store for it now for your ships, which I have. The thing is that CIG pushing this kind of thing where players can, in mass, change the course of the galaxy and even have it incorporated in the story is very awesome. Now, there's already an example of this kind of out there, and I'm going to go ahead and put a picture up here of an article. What happened was in Elite Dangerous, basically a large ship that was next to a station started firing on each other because it was, I guess, from what I understand, somehow a player got one of the two things to shoot at each other and hit the other thing, and the two started beating on each other, nearly blew each other up because they just wouldn't stop, and the devs had to stop it. And then they were so damaged that instead of just saying, "Oh, we're going to reset it and pretend it didn't happen," they turned around and made an event out of it. They said, "Hey, let's go ahead and have a repair event." So they had everyone go out to these stations and this ship and basically deliver supplies and goods until they could get everything fixed up again. So that was really cool because that was basically taking they said just going, oops, our bad, let's just reset that. They said, oops, our bad, let's do something to get the players involved in a mistake that we made. These ships shouldn't have been firing on each other. And that's the kind of thing that I want to see in Star Citizen, but obviously to a much larger degree.
But a slight weapons malfunction, there's no problem,
Let's build this reactor.
There's no problem down here. Oh, I don't see any reactors on the plans there. Sheila, give me the Death Star plans. Oh, sorry, tangent.
Too much robot chicken. I know, no such thing. Anyway. Oh, go to their YouTube channel, guys. Look up all the Star Wars robot chicken stuff. You can't go wrong. But anyway, so one of the things they talked about, and they've used this as an example a lot, is the Dread Pirate Roberts scenario. Basically, where you've got a ultimate pirate. They call him Dread Pirate Roberts. All your Princess Bride fans out there will get the reference. And a player goes
off of Chris Roberts.
Well, I guess, but the Dread Pirate Roberts is the exact name from the Princess Bride.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think I've seen that movie, so.
I mean, I don't know if I want you back on this podcast until you've actually seen it. I own that.
It's like a girly ass movie. I don't want
It's
to watch
fantastic. No, it's not a girly movie. It's fantastic. It's funny. Yeah, watch it. Anyway, so the thing is that if a player goes out or a group of players go out and they kill the Dread Pirate Roberts, he's gone. Whatever he had or whatever they recovered, that's it. They're one-of-a-kind items or one-of-a-kind event, and basically, that's the end of it.
He doesn't respawn into space and go, damn, that sucked, and then come back and fight you later. There was only one Dread Pirate Roberts ever.
Exactly. But there's a problem with this. And I've been thinking about it. And the problem is that, as you know, there's going to be one persistent universe, and how it's going to work is you're going to have dynamic shards, if you will, or sections. Basically, you can have 500 players sitting at the same point, but maybe only 64 at a time can see each other. And so everyone gets put into a different instance. So what do you do when you have a one-time event or a one-time enemy that everyone basically is going after, and they've tracked him down, and there's, like, say, 250 guys looking for it, and only up to, say, 60 or 64 are in the right instance, and they get the kill, and they get the item or whatever. And those other people, they didn't do anything wrong, okay? They did everything right. They followed the clues, blah, blah, blah. They were all there at the same time. So how do you resolve this? I mean, I thought, well, maybe you have him in all the instances, and if any of the instances kill him, then after the event is over, you remove him from the game, and all those people who participate in the event get the item. Or, you just stick to the hardcore, well, you're in the right instance, you get it, and that's it. But I'm almost towards the idea that basically they need to go ahead and allow every instance to see it. And then if say there's 20 instances or whatnot, and only like 5 of the instances win, and the other ones don't, and those 5 get all the stuff, and then that's at the end of the day or whatever, when the event's over, that's it. I mean, the other guys, they forever lose, and the other guys, they forever win. I mean, I don't see any other way to do it if you want to have an instanced area. And
the way I understood it is it wasn't going to be an event. It was going to be, there will be legendary pirates out there, and you may stumble on them. So I think the odds of it being is, if you look at it server side, he's in server cluster 64, right? And then the first person to get to server cluster 64 gets put in the instance with the NPC pirate. And then it's first come, first serve. If he's spawned in there first, you kill him, it's over.
Well, I understand that's the ideal scenario. But what I'm looking at is the extreme scenario, because that stuff could happen. You could come across a scenario when multiple players playing bounty hunters, a lot of players have all tracked down the same clues or done whatever to arrive at the same place for the same event. Now,
at the same time, I mean, the odds of that happening are going to be like 1 in a billion.
Maybe, but this is an MMO, so I mean, I don't know. I mean, but it's an idea that I think that because it could happen, they need to be prepared for it.
Well, no doubt.
Because you and I, we played Guild Wars 2, and what set me off from the game and quit playing it for a large part was that they had these one-time events that, like, okay, guys, we're having from 3 to 4 p.m. in the afternoon, this one rare mob boss, super boss is going to spawn, and everyone who participates gets this item. And, oh, by the way, and if you have a job or you have kids or you have a life, you'll never get the item, and that's the end of it. And to me, that was very off-putting and very frustrating. And I don't think that you can do that in MMO. That's what drove me away from that and the terrible crafting system. But and we talked about that last week.
Yeah, and the in-game content was kind of like, this is it?
But the idea of bending the story and stuff has other layers of difficulty when you're dealing with the shards because say players want to go ahead and they want to dominate a system and they want to blockade it. With the multiple shards and stuff, you may be able to block a shard, but there's too many players in there, a new shard is spun up, someone comes through the same jump point and they fly right past you. So there's things that they really need to think about, and even fleets. Like if you're going to be guarding something, if there's a way to manually change shards, like hey, there's 2 shards, let's put half our guys here and half our guys over here, and then blockade it because we don't want to overflow. We don't want to overflow like one area and basically have everyone else slip through the side that we can't protect. But it's going to introduce some very interesting dynamics. But on the side of the story side of things, they've even gone as far as saying that if the players want to get together and overthrow the UEE, and they do it, that they would allow it and they would write from there. So I mean, that would be interesting to see how much that would put them on their toes if they had to do a scenario like that. So what's different here is like in most MMOs, as Lightning and I like to put it, you're the chosen one, number 4,285, and you go up to Farmer Bob who wants you to capture his 5 chickens, and there's like a line of other chosen ones that are out there to rescue the same 5 chickens. And that's like, how most MMOs start. Rescue chickens, kill rats, whatever.
It's the easiest and fastest way to break immersion when you set the character you're playing up as to be super awesome badass. Because, especially in an MMO setting, you're not the super awesome badass. You're just another person.
No, yeah, you're not even as good as a lot of the NPCs on your side.
No, yeah. Well, maybe not in some games, but the majority, yeah. Even if, that's NPC's level 20. Yeah, but he's an NPC that's got like 5 times the amount of hit points I do.
Go to Stormwind or Iron Force sometime and look at the hit points of the king, and then tell me if he's not the ultimate badass or anything like that, because that's typically what happens, So yeah, so you've got that scenario, and so the thing with Star Citizen is when you're by yourself, you're not a wave, you're like a ripple on a pond. You will affect things, the economy. You may kill a rare NPC. You may intercept a rare transmission or something like that. That'll change the course of things. And then as you start expanding it, you add into a small group of friends or a fleet or a group of fleets that fly together. As your group gets bigger, obviously that impact will be larger, like throwing larger and larger rocks into a still pond. But the very fact that in Star Citizen that they're not treating you like the hero of legend number 4,258 is, I think, right there a jump on a lot of the MMOs out there that do exactly that. Really, the universe expects nothing from you, and if you bring something to the table, then that all the better. But what are your thoughts on it, Lightning?
I pretty much agree with you on that. I know it's not much of an argument when we both agree on things. But I mean, we've played a lot of MMOs.
You don't have to disagree to be disagreeable. Come on.
Well, no, we've played a lot of MMOs, and for the most part, it's like, oh, you are the chosen hero. Because the thing is, MMOs are based off the old RPG games where you played as the hero of time, or the hero of Chickensville or whatever.
Zelda.
And yeah, well, Zelda was the first thing that came to mind, but I couldn't think of another one off the top of my head. Era of the Crystals, there's Final Fantasy for you. And in all these games, you start off weak and you get stronger and you get more party members and you get more spells and you get new classes and you become a super ultimate badass. And then they said, hey, let's do that in a multiplayer setting with lots and lots of people. So the original MMOs were basically just multiplayer RPG games, and that mind frame has continued on and on and on into every generation of MMOs. I mean, there might be some MMOs out there that treat you like Joe Dirt. You're just some shithole, and then no one gives a shit about you or whatever. But I haven't seen them.
Well, I would say maybe Ultima Online back in the day, because you were just
Online. You mean
Thieves Online? Yeah, that was terrible back then. Everyone just rob your stuff at the bank. You try to go deposit your stuff, your bag's empty. I hated that game. I mean, I loved it. I loved it, and I hated it. But you work all day, go to the bank, and all your stuff was taken. Like, and all you had was people spamming the words "guard Steve" because they would all and that would summon all the NPC guards to kill anyone who's been stealing. But there'd be like piles of people would just make a low level thief and they'd run up there and they'd start stealing from because they didn't care if their character got killed. And then they try to throw that stuff into their bank as fast as possible. It was just a mess. It was just disgusting. You cover all your stuff with furs because you had to actually move stuff out of your bag to get to the stuff underneath it. Anyway, so big mess. Neither here nor there, but that was my first official graphical MMO experience, and it almost off put me from the whole genre. But yeah, I mean,
can't remember my first MMO. It had to have been either Eve or Star Trek Online. You know, it was probably Eve.
oh, that's jumping into the deep end. Holy crap! That's like, yeah. I mean, that is definitely like, okay, I've never swam before. Someone give me a rock and throw me into the deep end. I'll make it. Yeah, that's
rock power.
It's terrible. That's a horrible way to start MMOs. All right. So anyway, so from Star Citizen's perspective, as far as story changing goes, the more people you have with you, or the more people of like mind and similar goals, I think that's where you're going to see the differences or the ripples being larger. Like Elite Dangerous has this to a degree. You can join one of like 8 factions. I think it's 8 or 10 factions, and as you do their objectives, you either grow or shrink their territories. And frankly, while that's a nice system, it's kind of a waste because the game has 450 billion star systems, and that means
Not to mention the fact that your reputation decreases every week or something. You're back to your reset. That is
don't even start me on that. That is the worst system. But anyway, so aside from the terrible system and the implementation therein, the thing is that with 450 billion systems out there, can anyone tell me honestly why there's any reason that these two things aren't done? A, guilds. B, the ability to own systems and build bases on planets in space. Why can't you do it? Okay, and there's no reason they shouldn't be pursuing this. There's enough star systems for every man, woman, and child on this planet at a multiple level. So there's no reason not to allow anybody to go out, especially with their new crafting and gathering system and mining system, to start building your own base and start basically affecting the economy. It's a wonderful opportunity. Now, I know that Star Citizen is going to let you operate bases or whatnot, from what I understand.
Yeah, you'd be able to control like bases, but I don't think they're gonna let you control planets. I think the most you can go up to is like you own a refinery or you own a processing plant.
But that makes more sense in Star Citizen when you have a game where the scope is not quite as big. I mean, you can't have, when you have like 350 systems, you can't have every player owning a planet. This just isn't going to work. And frankly, that's not realistic. But in something like Elite Dangerous, it makes tons of sense because there's just so much space. That's a way to really flesh it out.
With Elite Dangerous is they're afraid to kind of branch out, because you talk to a lot of the people that used to play like the original Elite. Basically, Elite Dangerous, the newest one, is the original Elite game with better graphics. It's the same game they've been making for the last 10, 20 years, and so I think it's like they built something and they know it works and they've updated it to be a little bit more modern, but it's like they don't want to cross that line where it's like, hey, let's try something new and different, because sometimes you try something new and different and you can look at any Nintendo game and sometimes they're utter terrible flops and sometimes they're the best thing ever.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand the apprehension and the fear of trying something different, but that's what the whole idea of being an independent developer is. I mean, if you want the same thing over and over again, then why don't you just go buy an Ubisoft or EA game? Because basically, that's what you're looking for. I guarantee you'll be playing the same thing, guaranteed, for every time, with miscellaneous random bugs thrown in. And the idea of independent developers, like Frontier or like Star Citizen here, CIG, they are the people who push the boundaries, who try new things, so that basically the quote unquote big boys stop sitting in the corner cowering and are forced to go ahead and try some of these themselves. Because we've seen a lot of innovations. You have those like your Terraria games, you have Fez, minus
there's a new Terraria coming out soonish. I don't know when.
No Man's Sky, things like this that are coming up down the road and are already in development. That are and Space Engineers. There you go. I mean, Kerbal Space Program
totally broke the multiplayer in the last patch or something. Oh man.
Yeah, I know. He crashed my ship into a planet. It was you. He was in the back of my ship, and I was
Yeah,
trying
I
to see if it.
spawned in, and
Yeah,
it was counting
he
my
slammed my
character as
ship into the
weighing
ground.
like
Oh,
the weight of 1,000,000 suns was my character, and I was bouncing around the hangar, slowly dragging this brand new untested ship into the utter abyss that is planets.
5,500-ton ship that can VTO well, flying in an atmosphere. He steps in the back, and the thing slams into the ground. It's just like, wow,
Now,
dude, go on a diet.
now you reminded me of something. I don't actually think Frontier is independent. I might get pitchforked here, but their Kickstarter was to buy back the license for Elite.
Yeah, I mean, but they're not owned by like Activision or
Well,
Blizzard.
yeah, I guess that.
I
I think
mean,
they have like investors or something.
they do that in a roller coaster game. I mean that's pretty niche right there. I mean, have you ever bought a roller coaster game?
Yes,
Wow.
I used to play Roller Coaster Tycoon. That was awesome.
Okay, well they have their own roller coaster game. Go to their website and buy it. But for me, it's not my kind of game. I'm sorry, but that's too niche. I mean, it's one of those things like you don't see people lining up to make train simulators or truck driving simulators. It's just because it's too niche, and none of those big companies are going to jump out. And a lot of times, the companies that do that just do that. I mean, look at like the whole X series, with the exception of X Stillbirth. The thing is that that was the way that they approached things was still pretty niche, and it's kind of become their thing. They don't really make other games, not at least none that we're really
Might
aware
not
of.
make any more games anymore after the freaking X Rebirth fiasco.
That game was so terrible. Anyway, so what we're trying to say basically is that when we're looking at what players can do to change the storyline, your best bet here is going to be, if they get these systems incorporated, is to work with your friends towards a common goal. That's how you change things in the persistent universe. Never think that you're the hero of legend in Star Citizen. It's just not going to happen. You might be able to make some small waves. You might be able to get an elite enemy or a special item or find some rare treasure because you're the first one who found it. But overall, it's going to be a group effort to really make enough of a splash in that lake to catch the attention or change the direction of the flow of the universe, and that's really how I feel about it. And that's not, frankly, that's how I feel it should be. Not the game shouldn't be everyone's Luke Skywalker, and we've all got that that close my eyes and fire the torpedoes into the Death Star moment. That would just get too stupid. So
we're what is it? The Star Wars Galaxies, the NGE patch. We're all Star Wars, or we're all Jedi's now.
We're all
Everyone's
Jedis
a Jedi.
now. Yes. No, it's like those new sports they have in school where they don't keep points anymore. No one wins, no one loses. We're all winners. Wee. So no.
Participation badge.
Anyway, guys, that's our general thoughts on affecting the world. CIG's got a hell of a task on them if they want to do not only have the players affect some parts of the persistent universe, but at the same time having shards, having different instances, whether that comes from killing a particular mob or blockading a system or whatever. I feel that these are going to be now. One last note on that, as I was thinking about it, as the game gets older, that might become less of an issue because there'll be less people on. But early on, like, where there's a bum rush of players, that's what it's going to be.
Or better technology, better servers, better bandwidth. There's lots of factors here.
Well, yeah, or they add an expansion. Those are the moments you see more players typically jump in. Like, it's new, there's an expansion. So those moments are going to be the most heavy-handed. But outside of that, once stability comes in, then it may not be an issue. But anyway, this is Jairus and, of course, Lightning Dragon. And we'll catch you next week. And I hope you enjoyed the footage of EvoCron or Evo Chan. Mercenary. Oh, sorry, Legacy. Legacy is the new updated version. Mercenary is the older one. That's $25, guys. If you're looking for a good game out there that's something to pass the time while you're waiting for Star Citizen, I recommend it. I mean, it's a small little. It looks like an independent developer or whatnot, and it's got fantastic ratings on Steam. Check it out. I think you'll like it. Anyway, guys, catch you next week, and thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.